Hi, my name's Synchronize, and sorry for the background music. I wanted to show some background music. Um, but today I wanted to talk about ADHD, and I've just been having some interesting thoughts about it. So before we dive into the topic, I want to mention a quote. It is it was Aristotle said it. True genius is the ability to be able to ponder a thought and not believe it. Oh, it's all philosophy. I don't fucking care. Grow up. That's what I can say to you. If you're saying, oh, it's philosophy, maybe you should think about what you just said. Because I've heard that a lot when I bring up philosophy. Yeah, think about what you say. God, it's pathetic, some people. And I'm not saying it's you, the viewer, I'm just saying a lot of people do it. If you are saying that though, grow up. Oh my god, I hate it. But there's a topic, a book that I'm not read yet, but the topic is very enticing. I've had a bit of a summary on it. It's called The Irrationality of Rationality. Now you might be saying, well, if it's rational, how can it be irrational? And that's what I want to talk about today. I don't remember the author, sorry, but I would credit them if I could, but I kind of remember their name right now, but this is an important topic. So what this means is, what happens if what you're doing is rational, completely rational? Say you want to cure ADHD, right? That's a noble goal. However, we say cure. What happens? It's a rational thought if it's curable in the first place. What happens if it's not curable? Then no matter how much rationality you try to do to cure it, you'll never get to an endpoint because it's not curable in the first place. Obviously, we don't know that, so we have to look at different angles, which is the important topic. Because what I think is, I personally suffer from ADHD, and I believe that right now, modern psychiatry and psychology is fallen victim to this topic. The irrationality of rationality. So, it aims to individually talk to people and give them advice to help them. That's I'm not just saying it's a bad thing, that's awesome. But we're not changing. We're perfecting something that could be very well flawed. It can be a sword that is very rusted and awful, and it can't be, there's chips in it, there's no way to fix it. It's not going to do the job. No matter how much you clean it or refine it, there's always going to be better. So you always want to stop. What I'm saying is, basically, I believe modern psychiatry and psychology have tunnel visioned a lot. And maybe I'm wrong, so this is just it. Being able to have a thought and not believe it, so just keep thinking that while you're going through this. Don't take what I'm saying as fact. Just ponder it. So, I believe that ADHD is definitely something. It's definitely a thing that is a mental process, I will agree. It's probably a mental issue. However, I think that's about as surface level as it gets. I don't think you need to go much deeper than that. Because it might just be a brain difference. A thought I was pondering is, what happens if because I've heard the terms. I've been watching a lot of Happy Gamers, I think he is, whatever the Twitch psychologist is, or Twitch psychiatrist. He's very genuinely quite awesome to watch if you haven't. And I've been enjoying his content, but I've been pulling what I like out of it as well, and how it's applied to me, and specifically playing around with these thoughts that he's mentioned, and expanding upon them in ways that people who don't have ADHD wouldn't be able to. So, my personal belief is ADHD is not a negative at all. It's positive. It's such a positive thing. However, it's probably actually more of a human nature thing. I don't think it's this mental illness at all, personally. I know I said it probably could be, but it's a tough one, because it's like, is it a mental issue, or is it the fundamental basics of the brain? Is it just there might be like two different types of brain types due to evolution? Is one ADHD and one's quote-unquote normal? Or maybe it's supposed to play that way so we can bring out as much creativity as to ensure our survival is erased through the process of evolution. Perhaps ADHD is an evolutionary brain determining thing, and it's actually a positive trait because it's been selected through evolution. How I've come to view it now is that, again, I believe this, but you don't have to. I personally believe that ADHD is the ability to come up with a very, very good solution to something very efficiently. You'll find ADHD people are very impatient, and that's a very big trait of ADHD. It's like you have a goal and you need to get it done. I personally believe that is frustration that is meant to motivate you in order to do that task as efficiently as possible. Another thing that ADHD people have is they search out stimuli all the time, and they want as much of it as possible. Usually they don't want too much, but they can tolerate a lot more than most people. They can, and it sticks really well, because I don't know if I'm not speaking for all ADHD, but when I do it, I personally make an experience out of learning something, like I'm doing right now. I'm going to come back to this video and I'm going to watch it 3 to 8 times, like in that range, just so I can understand my own thoughts and come back to it and go, okay, that is what I said, so that I don't go back into the future and like future me looks back on that past events and doesn't understand what happened. So what would I do? I'm going to insert lies upon lies until I can't tell what happened in that event anymore. If I'm delusional, which I'd argue most people are right now. That is a very awful claim to make, but to be quite frank, this is how I see it. Especially, think of friendships. People are I feel, very surface level relationships. They don't seek deeper relationships, at least on the internet. There are definitely people that do seek deep relationships. Definitely, I'd argue most people do. Just some people don't. And it's a growing amount, I feel. Again, that's just from what I've observed. Egocentric bias there. That's just how I observed and how I've interpreted the world around me. You might see something completely different. So, yeah. Back to the topic of ADHD. That was a wild turn. Oh, I'm going everywhere. But, again, ADHD, I believe it's the ability to search out the most effective solution. And if you don't have the ability to do that, let's say you set a goal, I want to go out and get a coffee from the coffee shop. Say you're a very antisocial person and you want to go out and get coffee from the coffee shop. If you have ADHD, I feel like you're having a really if you have a lot of ADHD, like the worse ADHD, you're more likely to over dramatize the task at hand. You're gonna look at it and go, oh man, I need to do this as fast and efficiently as possible. And if you don't know how to do that, you're gonna break down. And that's how I see it. And evolutionary, my personal belief is that ADHD people also seek out a lot of stimuli. It shouldn't be. The correlation there, to me, is that we seek out a lot of information, like stimuli. We want to make experiences and learn as much as possible, so that way we can do the most efficient solution by applying all these stimuli experiences that most people wouldn't be able to have experienced if you didn't have ADHD, because it's just you have such a high tolerance to stimuli and how much you can bring in. And if I feel like in our modern society, what's happened is ADHD people don't embrace that ADHD. They believe they want to be quote unquote normal. And it's led to a huge delusion where ADHD people are only trying to mimic normal people. Mimic. Rather than accepting that they are just more tolerant to stimuli. And this is the big flaw in psychiatry and all that. Psychiatrists don't, especially those that don't, like, quote-unquote normal psychiatrists, those that don't have ADHD, they're gonna seek this answer out, and that's why I'm saying it's irrational. It's rational at the same time, though, isn't it? You want to be quote-unquote normal, but the logic is fundamentally flawed. You see, it's the reason why it's flawed is because it's normal versus ADHD. It's not, you know, people and different personality types and how they become, like, how you work with your ADHD. Because I don't believe it's a thing. I think it's just a person's brain and how they seek out information. And that's how I see it. So ADHD people are more of the short go-getters, while the normal people are more the long-term workers, you know? ADHD is more of the pave the way or plan the kind of way, while the quote-unquote normal people build it. And that's how I personally believe that it's evolved as people. Because when you think about it, what are we? We're self-conscious monkeys. If we're self-conscious monkeys, are we the self-conscious or the monkey? Or are we both? What are we? But we're animals. Like, we've evolved. Are we just like, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, ponder that thought. Don't believe it. I'm out. See ya.